Hey guys, welcome to Big Law's official Uncle Oz here. I've been told I've got to call you Lovely Liz from now on.
Yes, I think I much prefer this because I'm not that little, so lovely suits me nicely.
Lovely. Maybe Loopy Liz or...
No.
Lovely.
Lovely. Let's just stick with lovely.
We're being nice today, are we?
Yeah, let's
To each
try.
other. Okay.
To each other at least.
Are we going to be nice to the athletes?
Well, let's see. We'll try.
So guys, we just got done watching heat number 4 from this year's Channel 5 in the UK. Channel 5 present World's Strongest Man. Do you want to quickly go through the athletes?
Yes, let's. So in this heat then we had, representing the UK, there was Graham Hicks. From the USA was Bobby Thompson. From Canada was Jean-Francois Caron. I just loved full naming him. From Iceland, it was Ethor Ingolson Melsted. And then from Estonia was Irvin Toots.
Yeah, it's a good solid group of athletes again. JF Karan, actually the highest placing athlete from last year's World's Strongest Man. So JF last year was 4th. Unfortunately, for various different reasons, the top 3 from last year all not competing this year. So it guaranteed a new World's Strongest Man. Well, not guaranteed. There is one guy that could...
of course, Brian Shaw was the only former winner there, wasn't he?
Yeah, but it's definitely a different looking World's Strongest Man this year. But a great group. I believe 3 first-timers in this group.
3 first-timers. Graham, this was his 6th World's Strongest Man, and JF, it was his 10th.
And unbelievably, when you think of the great career that Graham's had, never made the final before this one.
Yeah, which is incredible because we know Graham is a great strongman, but I think, like you said when we were watching, it's not like he's been for the last 5 years because he's
missed a lot of
now.
Yeah, I mean he's missed a lot of years for various different reasons why he hasn't gone. And Hicksy, when you're talking pure power, just static strength, he could well be the strongest man in this competition.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
But going into the first event wasn't an amazing performance from Hicksy. To be honest, not the best group of farmers walks that we've seen so far in terms of all the groups that we've watched. Yes. I mean, a couple of good performances. We've got Bobby Thompson hitting 45 plus meters. JF Karan with his ridiculous grip strength, knowing what he needed to beat, went after that and managed 48 meters. But then we've only got Irvin Toots doing 18.76. And I was watching Irvin, I said to you, didn't I, while we were watching it, it's going so slow. And then I remembered he had an ACL issue going into this competition. If you haven't seen, go and check out the Talking Strongman that I did with Irvin. He tells us all about it, how he kind of, he got last minute, he qualified at Europe's. But he...
really inspiring guy, though. He's
inspiring
been through a lot,
story, yeah. But unfortunately, he was just at World's Strongest Man injured, which is gutting, first World's Strongest Man. And the problem is when you get that first invite,
no one
don't want to turn it down.
No.
And I remember being in that position, thinking, I've got to take it no matter what.
Yeah, I might not get given the opportunity again.
But I think we'll definitely see him again. He's a great athlete.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, just didn't get the chance to show it.
Yeah.
But the farmers wasn't great. Hicksy only managed just over 7 meters.
So with Graham then, obviously he's more human height, isn't he? He's 5'10".
Yeah.
So is it a hand issue? Are his hands normal size, and that's the problem?
He's actually, they're not like small hands, but because he's so thickly set, they're quite chunky hands.
Chunky hands. Like Zadrunas has that same issue.
Yeah. So if you don't have like the long fingers, then it gets a lot harder to kind of really clamp down.
Because you've got quite big hands, like
I have fairly big hands.
Almost like you're yeah.
But my hands would be like Liz's hands next to Mark Felix. It just shows you how big his hands are.
Mark has massive hands.
But yeah, Graham's grip has never been his strongest point. And Graham on top of that has ridiculously big legs.
Yes.
So these long, awkward farmers just whack into the legs as soon as you get going.
The problem is they're round as well, aren't they? They're not flat.
Exactly.
They'll go into your leg.
Yeah. So I think he just probably hit his leg and his grip just went. And he might be pissed off with me for saying, but his grip isn't his strongest kind of asset. He's got pressing power, squatting power, deadlifting
You've got
power.
Enough assets, Graham. You'll be fine.
just grip is never been his best event.
That's fair enough.
So I'm sure he would have wanted to do better than that. I'm sure he's capable of it, but once you whack those things, and it's 160 kilos, let's remember that.
Yeah, of course.
It's not like it's just nothing. And
No, it's not a shopping bag,
no.
is it?
But yeah, when you compare distances to other groups, it wasn't the best set of farmers. That being said, it was a great group of squatters.
Yes, very juicy squat group.
It was. And, we had 3 guys doing double figures on the squat, which is awesome. 700-pound squat.
Yeah.
On the thick axle, it's very awkward. And I think when you watched Hicksy go, he goes off almost like a bullet, making them look so easy.
Yeah.
But maybe just not focusing as much as... To be fair to him, he did say in the interview afterwards, he just kind of rushed a little bit. He didn't really focus on his tension. And that's the problem.
Throughout.
When you're as strong as someone like Hicksy, you almost want it to be heavier for less reps. It was like, I think honestly, he's probably capable of 15. But what happened, he didn't get that tension in the midsection. And he sort of just fell forward ever so slightly. And when you come out of line, still with 320 kilos on your back, still a lot of weight, and it just threw him off his positioning. Unfortunately, messed up that 11th rep.
Yeah.
It gave Bobby Thompson a chance to really shine. Bobby did a lovely, performance on this event.
Yeah, Bobby was great.
And then JF, being the professional that we know he is, unbelievable at almost every event. He didn't look super solid, but like by 7, 6, 7, 8 reps, I thought he was struggling.
Yeah.
But then by the time he got to 11, you still thought there was more there. It was... I don't know how you felt.
It's hard to tell with JF sometimes. He doesn't give a lot away, does he? It's like...
No, and he doesn't sort of post loads online as well, like some of the guys.
You never really know what sort of shape JF is in.
I've squatted with him before. I know how good a squatter he is.
I know.
He's good. And I'm sure he would have been very happy to take the win on the farmers and then joint first on the second event. Of course. It sets you up into a nice position. Especially with one guy then having to pull out. Irvin Toots, unfortunately, after the squat pulled out.
Yeah.
He kind of went down, but with a damaged ACL.
Yeah. You
don't want to squat. And I felt for him.
Yeah, I did too. Bless him. Fingers crossed to be back next year.
Definitely.
Ethor, decent performance as well. 5 reps,
I think Ethor, first time being at World's Strongest Man. Yeah. Great to see an Icelandic athlete there. Yes. We've had so many incredible Icelanders over the years. And obviously, for such a small nation to have 9 World's Strongest Man titles, that's pretty insane.
So the loading race, this was... I don't think it's rude to say it's a considerably slower group than, for example, yesterday, where we had a few guys that were lightning fast, didn't we? So JF won the loading race in 47 seconds. Where would that have placed him yesterday?
Well, I was saying to you in Shivlakov's group, Shivlakov was 4th.
Yeah.
And his time would have been good enough for 2nd place in this group.
Looking now, so JF would have been 4th in yesterday's group, in Novikov's group.
Yes.
But obviously he did what he needed to do and he took the win. What happened? So obviously Irvin had to withdraw. Graham on the loading. So Graham's usually a great loader, isn't he? We know
you watch Graham at like a Britain's Strongest Man, where it's implements like a sack, like a keg, which is things that he's used to. He can train on them. He can learn how to get comfortable with them. I think when it's things that he's not touched before...
Yeah.
And it's not just Graham. These awkward objects just suit the guys. If you go back and watch Tom Stoltman, his wingspan is so long, he just scoops things up. Whereas the slightly more normal sized guys have got to kind of figure out the best way to hold them.
You could see on those rims, Graham can get his arms around it in the same way that some of the much taller guys could.
It really kind of made you see how big they are.
Yeah.
Looking at the more normal guys hold them, because it's sometimes hard when you see the huge monsters carry things. They make everything look small.
Yeah, they do.
But when you see Graham Hicks is still a 160 kilo guy.
Yeah, I know. We're talking
he's not small.
like he's
But in terms of height, he doesn't have that kind of wingspan.
No.
It just looks a little
bit
bit
more relatable height.
Yeah, I think for the average person watching at home, definitely. But yeah, just not the fastest group. It's a funny group, this one. It's almost as if not so good at farmers, real good squatters. Not so good at loading, real good log lifters.
Yeah.
That being said, a very weird log lifting contest between these men.
It was very, very peculiar, wasn't it? So we were in a position at this point. JF only needed the 1 point to secure his win of the overall group, meaning he didn't have to do the stone off. Bobby Thompson, he couldn't beat JF at this point, but he was pretty secure in his top 3 position.
Yeah, so he couldn't slip out of the top 3.
No, he just did 1 rep to secure his place in the stone off. Graham had to win the event to ensure he got in the stone off, and Ethel had to have beat Graham in order to
had to beat
get
Graham,
in the stone off. Is a tall ask,
I mean,
isn't
Graham,
it?
if he wants a banker event, it's going to be the log lift.
Be it, yeah.
He's right now maybe the best in the world.
Yeah, and Ethel did great. I think he got 6 reps,
which is a solid performance.
Yeah.
Hicksy went out first with Bobby, didn't he? Bobby did the 1 rep that he needed, and then Hicksy was still going.
Yeah, and he was like, you could tell he didn't really know how many to do, because it's finding that balance between...
It is, because you don't want to, I mean, especially with the stone off coming up.
All out, do you?
You don't want to kill yourself. And log for reps, if you've never done it, is an exhausting event.
Never done it.
Never done it?
Never done it.
Never want to feel that feeling.
No.
Honestly, it's horrible because you've got to clean every rep. It just crushes down on your chest. And you can be the fittest guy in the world. It doesn't matter. It's a different type of feeling. It's having that weight compressing down on your chest time and time again. It's a full body movement, and just the lactic acid and the pressure on the lungs, it starts to really, really burn.
See, what makes me laugh about this whole situation is the idea of the stone off, or the, last man standing stones in the first place, was to stop this sort of thing from happening where one guy just does 1 stone or whatever because he's already through. But it's just moved it back to 1 event.
Yeah, and it's made it worse, I think, by dropping down to 5 athletes and essentially 4 events. Before we used to have 6 guys in the heats and do 6 events, so it was quite like watching a mini final. It was I used to find it quite entertaining. I'm finding it a little bit boring. Not boring, I mean, the performances are great, the athletes are great, but I'd like to see some more head-to-head events. I'd like to see
like the farmer's walk, watching 5 guys do it 1 at a time in every single group is a little bit tedious.
It is.
I'd like to see all 5 of them up against each other, a proper race.
I really love that. In the past, when World's Strongest Man has made guys go 5, I'd even like to see all 10, like in the final, 10 guys on those type of events.
A little bit harder to follow from the, but get a drone up. They like their drones, don't they?
I think it looks cool because then you get that excitement if it's an actual race.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of, what do we have? 1 guy pull out, so you've got 4 guys left. There's only 3, well, 1's going to go through automatically, so there's 2 spots available between 3 guys.
To do 1 event.
Yeah, it's, I'd like, especially a group like this where you've got some guys that are really good at some events, not so good at others. Put a couple more events in there. It's going to make it a real interesting tight group by the time you get to that last event, and then you could have the drama of 3 or 4 guys battling it out to try and make it into the final.
Especially when they're so close in points. I mean, like many years ago, you would have almost, and I know this sounds really rude, but you'd have like filler athletes at World's Strongest Man, but they don't have that anymore because everyone is so good now. So you find that behind first and second place, it's really, really close in points. So, I don't think it would be boring.
And then,
of course,
you start putting those the more events in there. It really does. I mean, the best guys will always come out on top because they're the best guys.
Barring injury or anything weird happening.
But I do feel at the moment we're missing out on some great athletes getting into the final that would put some incredible performances on certain events then in the final as well.
But I'd like to see more guys in a longer final anyway. No groups. Start off with 30 guys. After 2 days, lose 5. Let it go on for a whole month. I'd love it. It'd be great. Just keep going.
Liz and I are just putting our non-budgeted contest on in our little fantasy world. Unfortunately, in reality, there is things that they have to consider, but I'm sure,
people having a life,
budgets and sponsors, and pandemics, and it's been interesting. I mean, it came down to the stones. We almost forgot. It came down to the stones between Hicksy and Bobby. Hicksy went out first, did 6 stones in a reasonable time.
When you compare it to the other athletes, it was an okay time, wasn't it?
But it wasn't anything blistering.
No.
And you could see that Bobby felt he had a chance.
Yeah.
He was like, that's beatable.
Yeah.
And I would have been in that position too. I was like, right, it was a good solid run. But it's not like watching a Tom Stoltman just
and you
them
think,
up and
how on earth could I ever?
It was like, okay, I can beat this. Touches the first stone and you can just see the tacky just slips straight away. Now the first stone's 140 kilos, 308 pounds. I can assure you all of these guys can throw that stone up like
with that tacky as well.
Yeah. The problem is with strongman in certain climates and conditions, the tacky reacts differently. Now, the really smart guys, there's a guy called Dave Osland, probably one of the smartest guys, that's ever done strongman. He's also someone that manufactured Elite Tacky.
He's like a mad scientist of the tacky world.
He is. He's not. I don't have any sponsorship deals with him or anything.
Not being
but
paid.
It's really good stuff.
Yeah.
But he creates different weather tacky as well, and then he has in between. I mean, he has ones he sells, but then he makes these ones that are slightly hot weather, more humidity, etc. He's got like about 10 different variants that he sends to guys like Brian Shaw, Eddie Hall, those kind of guys that really kind of left no stone unturned.
Yes, yeah.
So I've been at Worlds before where the likes of them have literally 10 different pots of tacky out, and they're testing them to see which is going to be best. And even, I mean, sometimes outside where the sun's starting to go down in the evening, they'd have 2 or 3 that they've got left, and depending on what time they're going to go out and how far down that sun's going to go, they might change their tacky.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Really over the top scientific, but if you get your tacky wrong in those climates, it turns like grease. Yeah. And it makes the stone harder than if you didn't use a tacky.
And you could see that with Bobby. It was slipping all over the place.
Bobby actually got better as he went through the stones, but he took 30 seconds just to put the first 2 stones out. And then you're not in a good position because you've drained your energy just trying to put these lighter ones up. By the time you get to the heavy ones...
He left no time either. No. He didn't have the time. Like, if he'd done 7, he would have won, but he didn't have the time to do 7.
As happy as I was to see my buddy Hicksy go through, I felt for Bobby as well because, first time at Worlds, for something like that to happen.
And he had a great performance up until that point as well, didn't he? He was doing really well. I'm really, really not sold on his nickname, the American Monster. He looks...
Nightmare.
Oh, sorry, yeah, of course I'm thinking of OB. Yeah. The American Nightmare, that's even worse. This man looks delightful. Like, he looks so cuddleable. Give him a solid 9 out of 10 on the cuddle factor. He's got the lovely beard flowing. He just looks...
He's got
He looks lovely. How can he be a nightmare?
Very gentleman. I've never met Bobby, actually. No. But, great athlete. And, definitely seems like more of a gentleman than a nightmare. But,
I'm not convinced he's a nightmare at all.
Some of these nicknames, we just kind of throw them in for a bit of fun.
We've got T-Rex Evan.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to the final. The heats have not been as fun for me as in the past. I'll be totally honest.
I think
I felt quite flat watching them, and there's reasons for that. Obviously, the lack of atmosphere with no crowd, the fact that it's indoors and it's like you say, with the farmers just one at a time, just kind of going through the motions almost.
And also, what would usually happen with Worlds is they'd go, like a TV crew would go and visit the families, and you'd get much more of a backstory, and not just in people's gyms or in their houses, them out and about. But obviously, they've not been able to do stuff like that this year, so there's no variety in what we're seeing.
It's been tough. I think. It's been an exceptionally hard year, but there's still things, like we said, head-to-head farmers, for instance, just something like that, just making it a bit more competitive. Because at the moment, it's 5 groups all doing the same, event.
Give or take a couple of bits and bobs like the deadlift versus squat, etc.
Yeah. It could definitely be a little bit more entertaining, I feel, if you kind of go back and watch the 90s and the groups when they were... I mean, the final I think will be great when it's back to 10 guys and it's back outdoors and stuff like that. But the heats have just these last couple of years become a little bit boring for me. I'm not going to lie.
Honestly, I know. I'm just going on and on about it, but I think it's the final event that's making it boring.
Yeah.
I think we've lost that excitement of anyone. It could be anyone still.
For me, 6 guys in a heat, or get rid of the heats and just have...
And go with Liz's idea.
20 guys competing head-to-head, 25 guys, whatever you want to do, 40 guys, I don't know.
Have a cut.
Do it like the CrossFit Games, do 40 guys and have a cut, like you say. And then you can test it over more events. But we've gone on about that. Probably far too many has bored the hell out of these poor people.
Worlds are probably watching and we're on the naughty list now.
I think I've been on that for a while now, so it's all good. But I hope you guys enjoyed heat number 4.
Yes, let us know what you thought.
Tomorrow we have an exciting group.
We've do. It's a very juicy
4-time World's Strongest Man, Brian Shaw, Luke Spicy Stoltman's in there, Terry Holland's in there, Nick Best is in there.
Man, what a group.
It's a good group to look forward to. We're going to look forward to that. Make sure you tune in to Channel 5 to watch it, and obviously come and catch us on the after show. Take it easy, guys. We'll speak to you soon. While you're here, guys, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my awesome strength content.